Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Today we have Amy Phillis, who is the owner of Griffin Motors, and she's going to be talking to us a little bit about her path. But before we get into that conversation with Amy, my name's Nick, and I'm with the Northwest Tri-County Intermediate Unit. We have a partnership with our Northwest PA Job Connect, which is our local workforce development board, and we wouldn't be able to have these connections, with professionals like Amy if it wasn't for that partnership. So a special shout out and thank you to our local workforce development board. But we do have Amy Phillis. She is the owner of Griffin Motors, and she also has another store, as I just discovered. And we're going to send Amy live here in a second. But I also want to point out to the attendees that somewhere on your screen, you're going to see like a little chat bubble with a question mark in it. While Amy's talking, or if I'm talking, you have a question or anything about that, anything that we say or Amy says, don't hesitate to put that question into the chat feature. The latter part of this interview and our conversation with Amy, we'll take those questions and answers. But right now, what we're going to do is we're going to send Amy Phillis live. Amy, thank you for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so it's great. So you're the owner of Griffin Motors. Tell us a little bit about Griffin Motors, and you said you have another store.
Yeah, so Griffin Motors is in Meadville on Route 19, and it sells Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, and Kia, and also used cars. And then about 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, we bought a Ford store in Seneca, Pennsylvania. And so we also added Ford to our franchisees.
Okay, so your title is the owner. What?
Yeah, my title would be owner and dealer principal. You have a dealer principal, which is the person that the manufacturer recognizes as in charge. So the owner / dealer principal.
Okay, so you're in constant communication with these big auto names then, and you're identified as the owner principal, you're calling it?
Dealer principal, yes.
That's what I meant. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So walk us through some of your day-to-day. What do you think you spend the most time on? What's your biggest responsibility as an owner?
I spend a lot of time out front, so managing the customers and helping the salespeople with the cars. It's really tricky with the rebates and all of the things that go along with selling the cars, but also then helping the service side with unhappy customers or happy customers, and then helping the accounting, the office with just the day-to-day accounting and all of those kinds of things. So basically, I oversee all the employees and try to help all the customers with the day-to-day tasks. I don't really get into fixing the cars or selling the cars, but more just managing all the people and the customers and keeping everybody happy.
I see. So you have all walks of career paths that work for both of your stores. So tell us a little bit about the diversity of the roles that you have at Griffin.
Yeah, so we have everything. We have technicians, or the people that work on the cars. We have the sales consultants who sell the cars. We have people in the office who process the deals and the repair orders that go along with the cars. We have service writers who meet with the customers who are bringing their cars in for service. In the back, we have porters who deliver cars to and from customers, and then detail people who clean the cars and get them ready to be sold, or clean them after they're sold and present them to the customers. So we have all kinds of, a car dealership really has all kinds of opportunities for employment.
Okay, so talk to us a little bit about your service technicians. Like, what kind of qualities and characteristics are you looking for in a person that would service your vehicles?
A service technician, there are two types of service technicians. Both of them require a state inspection license, which you can get through the VOTEC. And then one type of service technician we call a line tech, and they work on the cars that we sell, the new cars that we sell. So at the Chrysler store, they work on Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Rams, and Kias, and they have to take a bunch of certifications through the manufacturer, and they're leveled out as like a level 1 certification, a level 2, a level 3, or a level 4. And it takes a while to get up to a level 4 certification, but then you can work on any type of problem that any vehicle presents, the Chrysler, the Dodge, the Jeep, the Ram, or the Kia. So you'll do a lot of the warranty work, and you have to continually train and take classes, and we pay for that. And some classes are online, and some classes you have to travel to. And then there's the other side of it, which is just the used car tech. And those techs for us fix the used cars that we take in on trade, or if we buy a used car at an auction or a sale, they're the ones that look them over, make sure they're okay. They do the state inspections, and they put the used cars out on the lot. So, but their main customer is the sales department, and then the line tech's main customers are the customers who've purchased the cars from us and that need warranty work or state inspections and oil changes and stuff like that.
Okay, so you have specific technicians. I never knew that. I thought maybe all the technicians were lumped into one specific group. So you have professionals who are working specifically on new machines and as used ones or pre-owned, whatever you guys call them.
Yeah, pre-owned or used, yeah.
So that's interesting. So what would you say? Let's talk a little about your transporters. You mentioned there's somebody in what's a transporter?
A porter, so what they're doing for us is they're helping the techs get the cars. So helping the techs get the cars from the lot into the techs bays. They're picking up customers, taking customers' cars back to them. They're actually sometimes, like, the sales guys will decide that they need an aftermarket bed liner put in their car, so they'll take the cars from the store to the aftermarket place and then pick them back up. They're doing other, they help us do, like, with the banking, they'll do the banking, picking customers up. They'll sometimes be a shuttle driver, like we'll do a shuttle in the mornings or the afternoons, and they're picking up the customers. And those people need really good people skills. They need to talk to a lot of people, be really friendly, happy, outgoing, because you're the face of the store. So we want you to be you're usually the first person they see and the last person they see. So you need to be happy and positive, have a good attitude. You're able to talk to different types of people and able to follow directions and multitask, because you'll be working on one thing and then you'll get called off to go do something else, and you're really working with all the departments across the store.
Yeah, that sounds like certainly a very people-centered profession. You're going to be interacting with a lot of folks. So I want to give a shout out to our attendees that are out there. Should Amy or myself say anything you have a question about, don't hesitate to throw those questions. We'll get to those when we get closer to the end of this interview. But Amy, you also mentioned your sales team. Obviously they sell stuff.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about those skills.
So sales skills would obviously be a lot of people skills. You also have to learn how to multitask, because you can be trying to juggle a couple customers at the same time. You have to be able to read people really well. Everybody wants a different thing when they come in to buy a car, and they want to know, like, some people want the best deal on the car, your lowest price, and other people want the most for their trade. So you have to kind of be able, through conversation, to read what the customer is kind of looking for. And then each manufacturer requires you to take tests to know, like, product knowledge. So, and they're online classes that let you know the ins and outs of every car. And now the way the cars are, they're so specific, and the customers know so much from the websites. They come in and usually know a little bit more than the salespeople, because the salespeople have to know 20 cars, and this customer's only researched their car. So you have to be pretty computer savvy too, because you have to be able to look up, very quickly, some of the ins and outs of the specific questions that the customer has, and the salespeople try to do it quickly so they look knowledgeable.
Yeah, I imagine that would be super important if you're trying to sell yourself in addition to a car. Yeah.
Yes.
Are you fine? Judy speaking.
And then math skills. You have to be able to, do some stuff on the calculator and add and subtract quickly in your heads when the customers are talking about discounts and stuff.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah. Let's talk about your role as a business owner, as an entrepreneur. What interests and abilities do you have to have as essentially an entrepreneur?
I think I have to be able to look at things at a high level and try to see where the trends are going. So with COVID, it's been really interesting trying to learn how to sell cars online 100%. And we're looking to the future to see how our websites are set up and how we can do meetings like this with customers and Facebook walkarounds, so the customer doesn't necessarily have to come into the dealership to see the car 100%. The salesperson can go out and do walkarounds. So I've been trying to become more up to date with the internet and how we can sell cars without physically having somebody coming into the store. But it's a big purchase, so a lot of people want to come in, touch, feel it, and smell it. So then we've been trying to figure out ways to keep everybody safe. So that's been the majority of my last 6 months at the store, is trying to see big picture.
Yeah, that has to have pushed you. I mean, pre-pandemic, like you said, the car buying experience is very hands-on, face-to-face. So how is that going? How has COVID impacted you guys?
It's been good. It's been actually good because people are coming in with a lot more knowledge and pretty much know exactly what they want because they've done more research online, which is helpful for us because you really don't want them driving like 5 or 6 cars because then you have to clean 5 or 6 cars. So the customers have been really good. They've been patient. Pennsylvania was unable to sell cars 100% online, so they're working through that. So you still have to come in because every state has different laws on how you sell cars. So you still have to come in, but the customers have been understanding with the 6 feet and the masks and all the social distancing that we have to do. And then we've had to, on the service side, we usually pick a lot of customers' cars up. So when we pick them up, we have to kind of clean them, and the porter has to wear gloves and a mask because we're in a car that a customer's been in. And then the same when they drop it off, we have to clean it. So it's taking more time to do our job, but I think that in the long run, it's going to be better for everyone.
Sure. Yeah, and I imagine that moving forward, a lot of your sales will even post-pandemic, whenever that's right.
Yeah. Yep. I think so. I think that's the trend.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's shift gears a bit. Let's talk about your technicians again. What kind of abilities and interests would one have to have if they wanted to work at Griffin Motors as a tech?
Yeah. So we look for problem solvers, people who can think a few steps ahead to try to figure out if this is wrong, what could be causing it. The cars are becoming more computer oriented, so you need some computer skills to diagnose the car. We have machines now that you put in the car and then it diagnoses it. So then you have to read into the computer and do that kind of stuff. You have to be able to work with a bunch of people because you have to have your service manager who tells you what to do. And then you have to work with the parts counter who gets you the parts that you need. And then you talk to the service advisors who then explain to the customer what's going on. So you have to be able to explain what you're doing to a bunch of different people. I think it's still manual. It's still a lot of manual labor. So you have to be in shape to lift the engines and do that kind of stuff. Not as much. We have a lot of things that help you, but you still need to be able to crawl under cars and be in fairly decent shape. You need to be able to work with all the techs in the shop. So if you have questions, we hope that you work together to figure out answers because sometimes it takes 1 or 2 techs with just talking through the problems to figure out what's going on with the cars. So work with people and a team player for sure.
Okay, so you would say that, being a technician, you're working as a team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And when you're a B or a C tech, which is a lower tech than an A tech, sometimes the A tech will help you diagnose, but you do the work. So the A tech can then go on and help somebody else diagnose the problem. So he helps you figure out what the problem is, and then you actually go in and remove the engine or do the engine. And then when you get trained up to doing it, you become the A tech and you train the people below you.
I see. So what about your role? Is it more independent or team oriented?
Mine's team oriented. I work with everybody. I talk to everybody. Every morning I try to walk around and say hi to everyone, make sure everyone's doing okay. I field most of the complaints of what's happening or what's going on. I primarily sit out on the showroom, so I'm dealing more with helping the sales people work the deals, pulling up the rebates and incentives for every car. We have what's called a customer management system. So the salespeople have to put every customer into a database, and then we go through and look at who the customers are and what they're looking at. And then we have a business development person who can send emails and notifications if the price is dropped on a car that person has looked at or the rebates have changed. So I kind of manage all of those things to make sure everybody's doing their job. I have a general manager, a BDC manager, a service manager, and a parts manager who we talk daily, and then we kind of just go from there, and an office manager who we all kind of just talk, and then they do their job and kind of report back up to me.
Your office manager, talk us talk us through what
So our
what are
office manager would need some accounting skills. And that would be probably one of the positions that we would look for someone who had a 2-year degree in business or accounting or something like that. They need to be able to use Excel and a couple other accounting programs that car dealerships use. And that's a lot of accounts receivable and accounts payable. And in car dealerships, people wear a lot of different hats. So our office manager helps process the deals, and she mails the deals to the banks. And then we have an HR person who does more of the HR side of it. So she handles the employees and keeping us compliant with everything. But they're cross-trained to both do the other jobs. And then another job that's kind of interesting in a car dealership is a title clerk. And what they do is they process all the titles and registrations for when the person buys the car needs to be put in their name, and then they send the title to the state, and the state either sends it to the bank if it's financed, or then puts the title in the customer's name and sends it back to the customer. So she has to be really detail oriented and keep up to date with all the new laws and changes, and making sure driver's license aren't expired and insurance cards are valid and all that kind of stuff. That would probably be the most detail-oriented position in the car dealership, because you have to stay in compliance with the state.
Yeah, I imagine. Yeah, a customer does not want to walk away with non-compliant.
With not insurance, with not a registration card that's correctly filled out or something. Right.
Yeah. So, talk to us about the demand. Do you think that there is a demand, not only at your company or maybe at other companies, for auto technicians?
Absolutely. It is. The demand is insane. What we're seeing now is all of these techs are older and their bodies are kind of giving out, and they want to be they're the A techs, but we can't find the young kids that really want to come in and work and do the learning and the heavy lifting. It is critical in the automotive industry that we find people that want to come in and be technicians. They are definitely in demand, and their pay is going up exponentially because we're realizing how important they are and how hard it is. The cars are just becoming so much more complex that they require a lot of skill. So it is a lot more training. So, and most car dealerships pay to get the people trained up. So then once you get them trained up to like an A tech, you don't want to lose them, because you spent thousands of dollars cultivating them and training them. And there is a huge demand for automotive techs. The last tech we hired was right out of the VOTEC program in Meadville, and he's doing a great job. But it takes a long time to take the classes and learn. But every day you can come right in and not have anything and start learning how to do oil changes. And then from oil changes, you can get your state inspection license. And then you can start doing the training if you want to become like a line tech. So there's a huge demand for techs.
Yeah. And I think that's a great point that you brought up, that as long as you have a solid work ethic and you're willing to put in that effort and to grow yourself, you could walk through the door at Griffin Motors, and is there opportunity for moving up?
Yeah. Yep, that's what we hope. We try to always just move the people up, because once we've trained them the way we want them to work and the way what our work ethics are and our mottos and everything, you don't want to lose them. You know, you try to get them young and train them, and then they usually stay with you if you treat them well.
Yeah, and like you had said, that it's that work ethic and the ability to grow and learn. So you talked a little bit about the education side of the Career and Technical Center down in Meadville. That's not necessarily required for somebody to walk through the door and fill out an application with you guys.
No, not at all. Yep.
Do you have any positions there at Griffin that do require any form of higher education besides a tech?
I would think that the people in the office manager would need, I don't know that she would need a formal education, but if she didn't have a formal education, she'd have to come with some experience, or he or she would have to come with some experience with computer skills, an accounting background, Excel, and hopefully some type of auto software, or like accounting system that they know, so they can learn. That would be the most education I would think that we would need, would be an office manager type position.
Sure. And roughly how many technicians and staff do you have?
In Meadville, we have 10 technicians, 40 employees. And in the Seneca store, we have 4 technicians and 15 employees.
Okay. So we always get this question. For an entry-level position, one of the things that we, as career-ready educators, we try to tell students is you walk into employment, you're walking in as entry level. And they always think that, graduate high school, whoa, I'm going to be a manager. Not the case, right?
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about your pay scales, if you're comfortable, of entry level, maybe management, so on up.
Yeah, so an entry level tech, which would be probably no experience learning how to do oil changes, or you've done oil changes on your own car or have fussed in your own garage. I mean, we're probably looking anywhere from $9 to $12 an hour, which the second you get your state inspection and emissions license, you usually get bumped up, a couple of dollars up to 15. And then our techs, some of our techs are in the $30 range, high 30s and that's just your base pay. There are a lot of incentives and bonuses that we put in play that once you become a line tech, you can hit some bonuses and incentives. I would look for a master tech, level A tech that's been with us for 10 years and has all of their experience. They should be, making $40,000 to $60,000, I would think, in this environment. But you have to start out and learn the ropes and finally get up to that. Sales consultants make good money, but they're completely commission based. So
what's commission?
If you sell a car, you make money. If you don't sell a car, you don't make any money. So
okay.
If they sell 5 cars, they make money. If they sell 0, they don't make any.
Yeah. That's pressure there. But
yeah.
Good salesman, you can make a lot of money, right?
Yeah, you absolutely can.
So those advanced folks who maybe come to Griffin and they're entry level and they're getting paid that, you guys mentioned that you would pay for them to have or go receive some additional education. Is that correct?
Yeah, if we find that they're progressing right and they're learning and our service manager thinks that they have the potential to become a stronger tech, then we send them to Chrysler classes. We'll pay for them to get their state inspection license or their emissions license and their emission license. We don't need emissions in Crawford County, but Erie and Mercer do. So some of our techs have it, some of our techs don't. But yeah, if we think that you have the talent and the potential, we want to train you and teach you. So we invest in our employees.
Cool. That's always great to hear. Why don't you share with us something fun? Maybe you're in an elevator with somebody. What's something cool that's happened to you throughout your career?
It's just really fun. We laugh every day at the garage. We call it the garage. We're just one big happy family. You spend a lot of time together. You work a lot together. Everybody, the techs are always doing silly things with each other. The one guy always has his jeans tucked into his boots, and the other guy always, everybody has their quirks. So everybody's always picking on everybody or laughing. We try to do employee lunches a couple times a year, and we have some Christmas parties, and it's just a really fun environment. You have to work hard, but there's a lot of fun that is there also, and you see everybody so much that it's just like one big family.
So if you were to provide any advice to whether it's a middle school or a high school, if they were interested in potentially even working in sales or tech, is there any specific skills or classes that you would recommend they look at in high school?
So for sales, I'd look at public speaking. I would look at any type of math. It doesn't need to be like higher math, but I try to learn my math skills, like addition, subtraction, multiplication, percentages would be really helpful. I would try to learn typing. That's what we're seeing with our older sales guys. They don't really know how to type, so entering customers' names into systems has become a pain. But and just learning how to read people, listening, becoming an active listener is really important. So those kind of skills would be really helpful. And then technicians, it's more hands-on. I would try to do some programs. It doesn't have to be car, but just do anything where you're building things or working on things and tearing things apart and putting things together to see if you like that, because you can apply that to any type of to cars or any type of industry.
That's great advice. That's great advice. So in terms of as an entrepreneur, somebody maybe want to get something on their own off the ground, any advice for them?
Don't be afraid to fail. You fail a lot and you have to work really, really hard. But if you like it, it's not work. And I joined this business with my dad, who's now 70 years old. And if you ask him, he'll say he's never worked a day in his life. And I kind of feel the same way. I'd say I've never worked more than 10% of the days of my life. There are some days it feels like work for me, but you got to love what you do, and then it never feels like work. And if you want to be an entrepreneur, you have to be able to realize you're going to fail a lot. And through those failures and how you adjust to those failures is what makes you a better person and a stronger business person. One failure can't end it for you, or you're not going to succeed.
Right. And those are certain character traits entrepreneurs, you either have them or you don't. And like you said, risk taking and be comfortable in the uncomfortable.
Right.
Share with us what have you failed at, and what did you learn from it?
So I've failed at a lot of sales that we've had that I thought would be really successful, and we sold 0 cars from them. I've failed at some pay plans that I implemented and thought that it would help us attain and attract new employees, and it didn't work at all. I have failed at thinking some ways to teach the employees how to do things, and it didn't work. I've failed a lot, but it's the way you come back, and it's the way you learn, and you have to be able to listen to especially the employees, as to why it didn't work and why you didn't like it, and you have to be able to take their criticisms. And you can't say my way or the highway, because life doesn't work like that. And just, sometimes I've bought things, or I've bought cars that I haven't bought in the right way, and you can't be afraid to just take your loss and move on. So, and I hope that this, buying this Ford store was a big adventure. So hopefully it'll pay off. I hope that this hasn't been a mistake. So far, so good. It's been really good, but you never know.
I have a funny story about Griffin Motors. It was 2004. I just bought a Jeep, and the fuel pump went bad. And this is a plug to everybody out there watching this. I remember talking to your dad. This was years ago, and he said, "Just bring that thing in here." He's like, "It's just out of warranty." And he put a new fuel pump in, free. And I've always remembered that.
And you have to remember too, we live in a small town, so you just want to take care of everybody, and you want to make sure that you have a good reputation and that you're kind to everyone, because you never know when the tables could turn, or they could tell 5 people the good stories about you. So working in a small town, you just want to treat everybody kindly and with respect is one of the things we've learned. Yeah.
It's because of that experience I've always spoke positively about Griffin Motors.
Yeah, see?
So, okay. Any parting words for our audience as we wrap this up, Amy?
I think you guys have a lot of opportunities out there. I see a lot of help wanted signs, and I think that if you're willing to put in the time and effort, there's a lot of opportunity right now for you to work hard and come up with some good jobs.
Yeah, that's a great point. So if anybody is interested in checking out Griffin Motors, if you just do a simple Google search of Griffin Motors, it's the top hit. They're located in Meadville, Pennsylvania, and from the sounds of it, they're looking for some service technicians. So
I think any car dealership's looking for a service tech. So anywhere you go, they all need them.
Well, I'm going to say a special thank you to Amy for connecting with us today. And I also want to say thank you to everybody in the audience. We've recorded this session, and we will be posting it onto our website. It'll be in the recordings tab under sales. And check that out. I want to say thanks and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.